today's video, we're gonna be reviewing the Ariel Rider Grizzly. We're gonna take this Grizzly out of this car right now. Oh, wrestling a grizzly bear. Look at that. Wow.
Quite the beast. So there's two switches on the battery. You can have on both batteries running at the same time, or you can actually just run one battery.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a battery bar here, and then this has another switch here, and then there's a battery bar on this top thing too. But this is a 52 volt Grizzly. It used to be 48 volts. The new ones from now on are gonna have a dual 1,000-watt motors. And a lot of people are like, well, were they just trying to increase power? No, it was more supply chain issues. So they were having issues supplying 750-watt motors. They just decided to go and upgrade them all to 1,000-watt motors. But it has adjustable suspension on it. So this one hasn't been on the previous models. And then these suspension in the back are actually air suspension. Yeah, so it's got suspension pump, hydraulic disc brakes on the front and rear. I do love this. It's got Shimano gear set on here, which is really nice. It's different than I've ever seen. It's got a little plus sign to go up in gears, and then this is to go back in gears.
Okay. Interesting.
And then twist throttle. It's made to handle pretty much all terrains. So yeah, we have the Ariel Rider Grizzly. It's got dual motors, ability to switch it from single motor to single front, single back, or dual motors. It comes stock with a 52 volt, 35 amp hour battery that's broken into two batteries, a 20 amp hour battery and a 15 amp hour battery. It does have 20-inch tires that are wide tires, and they're actually puncture-proof tires, so they're really massive. It has a cool display, hydraulic brakes, hydraulic suspension in the front, air suspension in the back. This thing's made for cruising.
We're gonna be riding around the reservoir, and at our next stop, we're gonna tell you what we like best. All right, Andrew, tell us what you like best about this electric bike.
Yeah, overall, the first things first that I love about it is just the looks. It just looks like a beefy motorcycle to me, like the old Harleys used to look like. I love the comfortable seat. I love the top speed on this thing. And I love that you can actually dial in suspension to exactly the type of riding you're gonna be riding. So if I'm gonna be riding trails with lots of bumps, I can make the suspension softer. If I'm gonna be riding streets and just trying to cruise as fast as I can lock it out and make it really stiff. So yeah, just overall design of this bike is so fun. We've ridden some other e-bikes. You know, I have that $6,000 mountain bike, full suspension mountain bike, which is a blast, but it's just a total different beast. That one has no throttle on it. That's all full pedal assist. And that thing's a blast to be going down like rollers and jumps, where this one wouldn't be quite as fun, but I could still take this on jumps if I wanted to. I could take this on the street if I wanted to. The other bike is not designed. It's really just designed for being on mountain biking trails.
The Grizzly is a very fitting name for this bike. Just looking at this bike, you can tell they spent a lot of time with the attention to detail, from the hand grips and the stitching there.
Just the fact that it has dual motors, that's what really sets apart this bike from most of the other e-bikes out there. This is the first e-bike I've ever heard of that had dual motors on it. And it's nice that you can tune it into rear motor drive, front motor drive, or all-wheel drive.
It's a great looking bike. We're gonna keep riding. At our next stop, we're gonna tell you some of the things that we feel like can be improved on this. All right, let's keep going. So what are the things that can be improved on it? Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so just the gear ratios. I wish that when you unlock it at 37 miles per hour, you can change the gear ratio on the level assist 1 to be a lot lower. And then this bell's kind of far reach. So this thing is to plus or minus the gear ratios, and this is the power button. But to reach the bell, you gotta reach pretty far. But it's a bike, you can do one-handed biking, no problem at all. So it's really not that big of an issue. It's not like on a scooter where you need everything compartmentalized close together. This, I can take my hand off and ring a bell, no problem.
When I'm riding something like this, I want something that has keyed ignition or a keyed start and lock, just because if I'm going to make a quick stop at the park or at the store or wherever it may be.
There is a key, and I forgot to bring it with me.
There is a key.
There's a key for both battery compartments, so I did forget to mention that.
There's no key ignition, but there's key for the battery.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. With something like this, you're going to want to lock it up anyway. You're not just going to leave it out, because even if someone doesn't have the key, they could easily just hop on it and ride away and kind of steal it that way.
I'm sure in the future they could find a better way to hide these cables on here. I know a lot of people complain about the way cables look, and this is kind of tons of cables all over the place, but to me that's just what I get with personal electric vehicles. I don't really frown down upon cables. I would worry if there's cables hanging that could get snagged when I'm riding, but I don't see very much of that.
Cable management is the bane of our existence with just about all electronics, and so either you try to go minimalistic like the KBO bike, which we've reviewed, which has hardly any wires visible, but obviously you have a lot lower performance, and then you get something like this, which is much higher performance, but you have more cables kind of cluttering the scene.
Yeah, and it's a catch-22, as Jimmy was saying, is you kind of have both parts. I'm sure you could hide these, but then it's a pain in the butt if anything goes wrong. You got to try to fish all the wires through. So it's definitely a trade-off. Is I don't really mind the wires exposed because it makes it for easy adjusting of everything. But I do love that it's just got the single gear switching, and it's got 7 gears on there. The display is amazing on it, but I do wish it was just a little bit brighter in the sunlight. That's the only really knock on it, but overall it's still pretty decent. Right now I can see it because there's a little bit of cloud cover, but when the sun's fully exposed, it is a little bit tough to read the display.
We're just gonna do a quick little speed test. We've got our wide open road here, making sure there aren't any other pedestrians or cyclists so we can keep this safe. But tell us about the speed test. What are the settings you're going to have it in, and what should we expect?
We're a little bit below what the full battery capacity is, but I'd expect this to hit about 35 miles per hour. Okay. Is what I'm guessing.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
So we'll let it rip. I'll kind of pedal it a little bit, but I'll be using mostly full throttle on it.
All right.
So we'll go ahead and take it on.
How'd it perform?
Oh, performed great, actually. A little beat because I was pedaling. I'm not used to using my legs.
Let's see what the results show.
We're gonna start it. But I hit 37 on the display, so that was pretty sweet. So
on the display it showed 37. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, like I said, I'm a little bit out of breath because I'm not used to pedaling and earning my turns, but no, it was overall great braking power. I went right by you at like 35 miles per hour, went about 20 feet in front of you, slammed on the brakes, and it didn't lock up too crazy. It did skid, but it wasn't like an uncontrollable skid, and I probably braked in as quick as 20-25 feet.
Take 2 with the speed test. This time, Andrew has started his speed recording device.
That is a good thing.
How'd it go?
It's great. It said 37.4 on the display, so
okay, let's see what the
we'll see. 35 miles per hour, so it's about 2.4 miles per hour off, but it's still pretty decent.
Okay, impressive.
Yeah, not a full battery, about 80% battery.
Okay, and plus you weren't at full battery either. You had done a speed run right before.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, now it's my turn to give this bike a spin. Man, this is fun. Compared to riding the KBO bike all day today, this is the pedal assist is much more robust than on the KBO. I mean, this is more than just pedal assist. This is just you pedal activate the throttle. Is basically what it should be called. Pedal activated throttle. And yeah, I just feel so sturdy, so robust. And then if I don't want to pedal activate the throttle and I want to use a throttle, I just kind of twist this little knob here and then I'm gone. going over these bumps right now. You can see me going through these cracks, and these cracks, it's still a comfortable ride. This seat too, I will say I do like that seat. Nice and big, it's comfy for my bottom. Let's go take this off some off-roading stuff.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, who do you think this bike's for?
Who I think the Ariel Rider Grizzly is for the person looking for a legit form of transportation. This thing is tough, this thing is rugged, this thing is serious, and this can get you wherever you need to go. I mean, it's not quite a motorcycle, but it's definitely more than just your average e-bike. If you're looking for a legit form of transportation, or you're looking for something to have fun on, just ripping around, this thing can take all forms of terrain, on-road, off-road.
For me, it's kind of in its own category. I don't see someone who's like a bicycle enthusiast. We've seen a lot of people riding road bikes along here, and it's not going to be designed for that type of person. I say this is someone who's looking for a separate form of transportation than owning a car, owning a motorcycle. This fits a specific type of person who likes motorcycles, likes scooters, likes mopeds, but doesn't want to pay for registration and all that stuff. This is who I think it's designed for.
We've had an absolute blast riding the Ariel Rider Grizzly. I'm going to continue ripping around on this thing. If you guys have any other questions, leave them down in the comments below. Also, read our full review on our blog. Remember, when you guys ride, be sure to wear your safety gear.
Let her rip. 16, 19, 22, 24, 28 on the display, 30, 33. Man, this thing is a blast. Blast and a half.